Have you ever felt a pain in your body that no doctor could explain, and deep down, you just knew it meant something more? Maybe it was a tightness in your chest that arrived the day you stopped speaking your truth. Or an ache in your back that started the moment you took on a burden that wasn't really yours. What if your body isn't broken, but wise? What if every stiffness, every soreness, every tension is a message from your past, your spirit, your karma? I used to think of pain as just something to get rid of. Pop a pill, stretch it out, distract myself with work. But then something happened. My back pain returned for the third time that year, only this time. It didn't leave, not after rest, not after treatment, not even after I tried thinking positive. And in the silence of frustration, I asked a question I'd never asked before. What is this trying to tell me? In today's video, we're diving into something deep. Why your physical pain may actually be emotional or spiritual in disguise. The 5 places karma hides in the body, and how to interpret the messages. And most importantly, how to begin the kind of healing that no medicine alone can offer. So if your body's been whispering or screaming for your attention, you're not alone. Make yourself comfortable, take a deep breath, and let's explore the sacred language of your body together. Let's begin where all healing begins, not with answers, but with awareness. 1. The hidden language of the body. You know how sometimes you just know something isn't right, but you can't quite explain it? Like when your neck feels stiff for no reason, or your chest gets heavy out of nowhere. We're taught to brush it off, it's just stress. Or, I probably slept funny. But what if it's not random? What if your body is speaking in its own quiet language, a language we were never taught to read? I remember talking to a friend named James, a father of 2 who works in construction. He's strong, tough, the kind of guy who never complains. But one day, he told me he'd been having this knot in his stomach for weeks. No food allergy, no illness, just this gnawing tightness that wouldn't let go. And then he said something that stuck with me. It shows up every time I think about visiting my dad. He hadn't seen his father in years. There was history there, abandonment, silence, guilt. But his gut remembered, even when his mind tried to move on. That's when it clicked for him. The pain wasn't a problem to fix, it was a message to hear. In Zen philosophy, the body isn't seen as just a vehicle for the soul, it's the script. Your breath, your posture, your bones, they carry your karma. Not in a mystical, far-off way, but in the most real, physical sense. When something inside you goes unresolved, an old heartbreak, a buried resentment, a truth you were too scared to say, it doesn't disappear, it settles in your body. It might show up as chronic tension, or fatigue that no amount of sleep can cure, or a quiet pain that pulses with the memory of something unspoken. And here's the beautiful part. Your body isn't betraying you, it's reminding you. It's the only part of you that can't lie. While the mind can rationalize, hide, deny, the body just feels. It whispers, hey, there's something here that still needs your attention. The next time something aches, instead of rushing to fix it, pause. Ask yourself gently, what is this trying to say? Your body may not answer in words, but it will answer in feeling. And that's the first step toward true healing, not fixing, but listening. Now that we understand the body as a messenger, the next question is, where is it speaking the loudest? Let's look at the 5 places where karma loves to hide, and what those messages might mean. 2. 5 body zones where karma speaks loudest. Now that we've opened the door to understanding the body as a spiritual messenger, let's get more specific. Because karma doesn't speak in riddles, it speaks in places. Certain areas of the body seem to carry louder echoes of what we haven't yet resolved. And once you learn to listen to where the pain is, you'll often understand why it's there. Let's explore the 5 most common body zones where karma likes to speak up, and what those messages might mean. Number 1. The lower back, the shelf of silent burdens. Think about what we do with backpacks. We wear them on our backs. We carry our books, our tools, our laptops, our responsibilities. Spiritually, your lower back is often the place where unspoken burdens collect. Financial stress, guilt you've pushed down, responsibilities that were never yours to begin with. I knew a woman named Elena, A single mom working 2 jobs. Her lower back pain began the same week her ex stopped paying child support. She never told anyone how scared she was, but her body knew. That pain didn't ease until she had a hard conversation with her employer and asked for help. Lesson. Pain in the back? Ask yourself, what am I carrying that isn't mine? Number 2. The hands. Holding on too tightly. The hands represent doing, action, control. When they ache, it often means we're holding on too tightly to something or someone. My friend Marcus is a graphic designer. His hands started hurting out of nowhere. Tests showed nothing. Eventually, he realized it happened most when working with a difficult client, one he was afraid to let go of because he needed the money. He didn't just need the paycheck, he needed to feel in control of the outcome. Once he released that need, his hands slowly followed. Lesson. What are you gripping that you're afraid to lose? Number 3. The throat. The silence that suffocates. The throat is the gateway of expression. When it tightens, feels dry, or even causes a mysterious cough, pay attention. Ever held back from saying something that mattered? Maybe you didn't want to rock the boat. Or maybe you were just afraid to be vulnerable. Carla, a high school teacher I once worked with, had chronic throat tension. No illness, no allergies. But she hadn't told her father she forgave him for years. The day she wrote him a letter, her throat literally relaxed. Not a miracle, just release. Lesson. Your truth doesn't need to be loud. It just needs to be heard by you. Number 4. The eyes. When we refuse to see. Sometimes, the problem isn't with your vision, it's with your focus. Our eyes are deeply connected to clarity, perspective, and truth. When your life feels blurry, your direction uncertain, it's not unusual to feel eye strain or fatigue. Bryce, a software developer, came to me exhausted and scattered. He was chasing every new opportunity, startups, side hustles, online courses, but couldn't finish anything. When we talked, he said, I just want to find my purpose. Turns out, he was looking outside for what could only be found within. Lesson. When your vision blurs, ask, what am I afraid to see clearly? Number 5. The feet. The fear of moving forward. Your feet represent progress, movement, the path ahead. When they hurt, especially without obvious cause, it can signal fear of change or clinging to the past. Tammy, a woman in her 60s, kept having sharp foot pain that doctors called idiopathic. But she had just retired and was terrified of what life meant without her job title. Once she reframed her identity, her steps felt lighter, physically and spiritually. Lesson. Stuck feet often mean stuck energy. Sometimes, it's not your body resisting, it's your past that won't let go. These 5 zones aren't random, they're spiritual landmarks. If you've been feeling pain in one of these areas, don't just treat it, talk to it, ask it questions, invite it to speak. Your body holds the truth your mind may be afraid to hear. But now, let's go deeper. How do we know this isn't just woo-woo? Is there any science to back up what the body remembers? Coming up next, we'll look at how karma and biology might not be opposites at all, but partners in healing. 3. Karma versus biology. What science and spirit agree on. It's easy to hear words like karma or energy and think, okay, sounds spiritual, but is any of this actually real? That's a fair question, and an important one. Because if we're going to truly listen to our bodies, we need more than just poetic language. We need a bridge between what we feel and what we know, between spirit and science. And the good news is, that bridge already exists. Let's talk about a doctor you may have heard of, Dr. Gabor Mate. He's a physician who spent years treating addiction and chronic illness, and what he found was startling. Many of his sickest patients didn't just have bad habits. They had unhealed emotional trauma, grief, guilt, or anger they never gave themselves permission to feel. One of his patients, a woman with severe autoimmune issues, had spent decades as the peacekeeper in her family. Never spoke up, always took the blame, and her body, over time, began attacking itself. That's not karma in a religious sense. But it's karmic in the way Eastern traditions describe it, unresolved emotion echoing in the body until it's addressed. Here's where science and spirit meet. Biology tells us that chronic stress raises cortisol, weakens immunity, and alters our nervous system. Karma tells us that unprocessed emotion and unconscious patterns must be seen, felt, and released, or they become suffering. Different words, same message. If we ignore the whispers, they eventually become screams. Another example is the study of ACEs, adverse childhood experiences. Research shows that people who faced emotional neglect, abuse, or instability early in life are far more likely to develop chronic illnesses later. Not because of genetics, but because their nervous system learned to survive, not to thrive. Now, imagine if we added compassion and awareness to that equation. If instead of just treating the body, we asked it what it had endured. That's the essence of karmic healing. You don't have to choose between science and spirituality. They're not in conflict, they're in conversation. When you explore both, your healing becomes deeper, fuller, and far more personal. So, how do we actually begin to listen? Not just in theory, but in practice? Up next, I'll walk you through a simple way to tune in to your body's messages. Like a Zen master, with presence, patience, and no pressure. Let's explore how to listen to the body, and finally hear what it's been trying to say. 4. How to listen to the body like a Zen master. We've talked about how the body holds karma, and how both science and spirit agree that what's unspoken will find its way into sensation. But now comes the question. How do we actually listen? Not with stethoscopes or scans, but the way a Zen master would. With presence, with silence, with curiosity instead of control. Let me tell you about Erin. She's a yoga instructor who, ironically, had stopped listening to her own body. Her classes were peaceful, her Instagram full of inspiration, but her own nights were restless. Tension lived in her jaw, tightness wrapped around her hips, and every time she tried to stretch it out, the discomfort would only deepen. She told me, "I thought I needed to do more, but what I really needed was to just be still." That's when she tried something different. Instead of fixing the pain, she asked it a question. She sat down, closed her eyes, and said, "What are you holding?" The answer didn't come in words, but in emotion. A memory surfaced, a moment she hadn't cried about, because she thought it was too small to matter. And as she felt it, her body softened. That's Zen. Here's a simple practice you can try, right now, if you'd like. The 3-minute body listening practice. Find a quiet spot, sit or lie down. Bring your awareness to the part of your body that's tense or uncomfortable. Don't judge it, just feel it. Ask softly, "What are you trying to tell me?" Breathe gently. Let whatever arises, arise. Maybe it's a memory, maybe a name, maybe just a wave of emotion. Whatever it is, let it be heard. This isn't about diagnosing or solving. It's about being present, like you would for a friend who just needs to be seen. Too often, we treat our bodies like machines. I need to fix this pain. Get it gone. Move on. But the body isn't a machine. It's a messenger. And sometimes, it just wants you to sit with it and listen. As the Zen saying goes, when the student is ready, the body becomes the teacher. Start treating discomfort not as the enemy, but as a guide. A wise teacher with no words. Just signals. You don't need fancy rituals. You just need a few quiet minutes, and the willingness to feel what's true. Now, what happens after we've listened? What does healing really look like when it's not just about medicine or meditation, but about transformation? In our final section, we'll explore how turning toward pain can lead not just to relief, but to liberation. The kind of healing that shifts your whole life. Let's step into that now. 5. From suffering to liberation. The karmic journey to wholeness. So what happens after we finally listen to the body? After we sit still, breathe deep, and feel what we've avoided for so long? That's when the real journey begins, not toward a cure, but toward wholeness. I once worked with a man named Chris. A quiet, thoughtful guy in his 40s. He'd lived with persistent fatigue and migraines for years. He'd seen doctors, tried special diets, even visited energy healers, but nothing stuck. When we first spoke, he said something I'll never forget. "I feel like my body's been trying to say something, but I don't speak its language." So we didn't start with treatment plans or breathing hacks. We started with stories. Stories he hadn't told anyone. The heartbreak he never mourned. The guilt he carried from walking away from a job that crushed him, yet fed his family. And as we gently explored those memories, something shifted. His pain didn't vanish overnight, but his relationship to it changed. He stopped seeing his symptoms as punishment and started seeing them as guides. As he told me later, my body wasn't broken, it was just asking me to come home. Here's the deeper truth we often miss in our search for healing. Healing isn't about eliminating all discomfort. It's about coming into alignment with your truth, your path, and your peace. And karma? Karma isn't some ancient scoreboard keeping tally of wrongs. It's the momentum of our intentions, still echoing in the body until they're heard, felt, and released. If you're walking through pain right now, physical, emotional, or spiritual, this isn't the end of your story. This is your turning point. Because the moment you stop fighting your symptoms and start listening to them, you stop suffering in isolation and begin awakening to your wholeness. 3 questions for your journey. Before we close, here are 3 gentle questions to ask yourself the next time your body speaks. What am I still holding? Whose weight am I carrying? What truth am I afraid to speak? Let those questions sit with you. Breathe with them. Your answers may not come right away, but your body already knows. Suffering becomes sacred when it leads us back to our true self. When we stop trying to escape the ache, and instead bow to its wisdom. That is the karmic journey. Not to be punished, but to be purified. Not to be fixed, but to be freed. If this message resonated with you, if your body has ever whispered something you weren't ready to hear, I invite you to share your experience in the comments. Let's create a space where healing isn't hidden, but honored. Where pain isn't shameful, but meaningful. Subscribe if you want more videos that help you turn discomfort into discovery, and karma into clarity. And remember, your body is not your enemy. It's your greatest teacher, and it's been waiting for you to listen.
Let us know in the comments below. Don't forget to like and share this video. Subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss our videos and much more. Click on the screen to watch another thrilling video. Thank you for joining us. See you in the next one. Take care.